Welcome back to Switch to Linux. We're going to do another pro and con video here today. We are going to have a look at Zorin OS. So Zorin OS is quite a fascinating distro here. I've looked at it a couple of times, and overall I think that this is another good candidate for a person switching over to Linux from either a Windows or a Mac environment. Especially if you do not mind a few dollars. They have the organization here has put a lot into this distro, which is based upon Ubuntu, and it utilizes the Gnome desktop. So it is a little bit heavier on system resources. It runs about 1.2 megabytes at idle, and as it is doing that, the cool part about the system is you can actually set it up quite easily within the internal themes to look like either a Mac or a PC. And so that's one of the really fascinating things here. So we're going to transition over. Also, before I transition over, this is kind of a preliminary video on the new computer. We're not completely built on the new system yet. But what I am running is I actually did install Zorin on a flash drive, so we're not running in a virtual box today. We are actually on a real system. I have a true dual monitor platform here, and hopefully I can get some really good video quality out of this while I'm showing you some things. And this is just kind of a setup that I'm slowly starting to get used to, and I'm guessing the new computer will be done in a couple of weeks here. I had to order some new processor fan clips from China, so they should be here within a couple of weeks. And once I get that done, then I'll go out, pick up the hard drives, and finally make that decision as to what distro I'm actually going to put on the main computer. However, I am building the computer so it's very easy to run off of external hard drives, external flash drives, or even hot swapping the drives in between loads. So the computer here, this is, as I said, a preliminary concern. And for those concerned, no, the processor fan is not completely dead. It's just that I have some of these clips here, and one of them is broken, and two of them have a little bit of a problem with the clips. So it still is perfectly attached to the processor. It is keeping the thing cool. I am not running a computer without a processor fan. But I did have to order new clips, and I'm not really going to do a whole lot with this computer until those clips are in. So with that being said, we are going to transition over to look at the Zorin website. And the Zorin site here, what their objective is to build a platform that is more comfortable for people to come over. And as I have said before, you know, if you're coming from a Mac type world, you might want to look at the Gnome desktop. If you're coming from a Windows like world, you might want to look at like a Cinnamon desktop. What they've done here, though, the development team, they are using Gnome through all of it, and it's not quite as comfortable to a Windows user, but it does resemble it. I think Cinnamon you can really set up to be just like Windows. This here, it kind of looks like Windows, but it's really not a true Windows platform. But we can change it around, and we're going to get into how that works. Before I do that, you know, the desktop is pretty cool. So here's what the desktop looks like. I did change the picture, but this is one of the images that is available inside of the platform. So here they're wanting to say this is a replacement OS for Windows and Mac. You know, there's their write-ups by people, and here's something that looks like it's running on like a Mac computer there. And then here it's just going through some of the basic things. Some of this stuff is indeed the general marketing, rock solid reliability. It is based on Ubuntu and Gnome. I did actually notice a few little instability issues as I was doing things. There was one time I had to hard reboot the computer. A few other times things fouled up, but I was actually able to get to a shutdown and restart prompt. So it's not like bad unstable, but it's not nearly as stable as some of the other distros I've used. But for what it is doing, it is quite amazing as to what it looks like. You can download for free the lighter version, which is what this is. I think they call it the core version. And if you do want to pay 19 euros, then you can get one which supposedly has an entire interface even designed like a Mac. I guess some things never change. You know, you want Windows, hey, you got Windows for nothing. If you want Mac look, though, come on, you're paying more. I don't know, whatever. Anyway, they do advertise having a lot of different apps and games. So, you know, you can flip through the website. So we'll have a look at the download page. So here you can go with the Ultimate and the Core. And they did say that on the website here on the blog that they are looking at building a light version. So in the Ultimate, you have best business and media apps. Now, for me, the challenge is, and the thing that I mean, it might be here somewhere, but I've not been able to find it. I really think that they should tell me what is it I'm getting. Like, if it's just like a matter of, 10 different Linux apps that I can just download, no problem, then, I'd like to see that. What are these 20 fun games? Now, this here would be worth it if you really want that Mac look. Then it might be worth it, because what they've done is in the main core version that I'm running here, we have a Windows and the Gnome 3 desktop. They add the Mac OS, Gnome 2, and Unity layouts in the premium or ultimate version. And apparently they do video wallpapers, and the images of that look pretty cool. There's some video and some images on the site. All of the core portions, so the bottom part here are the things that you get on the free download. You have LibreOffice. You have a lot more utilities. I wasn't happy with the lack of utilities in Elementary. This does actually have quite a bit of utilities. We do have like a window. They say it's a Windows-like desktop. It's really not. And then here, compatible with Windows apps. I think one of the downsides, they're really trying to build this up as a pure replacement for Windows. But what you need to recognize is that moving from a Windows platform or a Mac platform into a Linux platform, it is a completely different operating system. So I actually don't like some of the branding here. Like, it says compatible with Windows apps. Now, when you click Learn More, it does tell you that it's not compatible with every Windows app. And I wanted to just see if it is more compatible, for example, with some other distros or not. And I looked at this. More compatible with other Wine versions or other Windows programs, because they really are building this up as a Windows replacement. And I'm not sure it is. I'm not sure I'd call it a Windows replacement necessarily. One thing I did not check, I just thought of it while I'm looking at this, is one of the major challenges when you move from Windows over to Linux. The Office documents are going to be compatible, but there are almost no fonts that are shared between the Windows suite and the LibreOffice suite. Now, there is a font pack to install the common non-proprietary Microsoft Office fonts. So if you want to use Tahoma and Arial and Times New Roman and Courier, some of those fonts are actually not installed on LibreOffice as default, nor on many Linux distros. So I didn't even check into this. So I'm actually going to, okay, well, that's interesting. That's not what a user would expect. If I click the Start menu, I was kind of expecting the Start menu to show up. So, okay, maybe they need to work on that a little bit more as well. But what I want to see is, if I boot up Writer, I want to see if they've actually installed those open source fonts. Of course, it just opened that up on my second monitor. Let me bring that over here and squeeze it down in size so my image doesn't overrun it. And then here, Liberation Serif is the font selected, and I'm just going to come down here and see if they've actually installed any of these or not. So, no, they have not actually installed the fonts. And here's why this makes the difference. If I happen to be sharing a document from Microsoft Office. Now, Office, starting around 2007, I think, uses Calibri as the default font. But Calibri is a Microsoft proprietary font, so you can't really embed it. You can't do a whole lot more with it. But if you want to do something that, just a simple simple Courier font. Here's as close to Courier as we're going to get, is this Courier 10 pitch. The problem is if I am on a Microsoft Office document and I create a file with a font that my LibreOffice does not have, then it will actually open it up with whatever the default font is. And if you are relying on any styling or any of that, then you have to take account for that. And for me, as I also am a writer, sometimes that is significant because as I'm writing things and I want to publish or send something off to a publisher, the open source files are options, but you need to make sure that you are utilizing fonts that the printers can use. And usually that considers the fonts that are the non-proprietary fonts that are available on Microsoft Word. And so I'd have to install those packages. Now, in my case, my writing computer is still a Windows 8 computer, just because I've been working on the latest writing project for actually a couple years now. It's just wrapping up to an end, but I had Windows 8 on that, and I'm still deciding if I'm going to keep Windows 8 on that moving forward or just wipe it for Linux. I don't know. We'll figure it out. But here, they are saying here that the compatible with Microsoft Office, which is true. If you open up a Microsoft Office document, it will open just fine. You can save as a Microsoft Office document as well. So coming over here, you can see the different types of documents you can save as. Okay. But the font packs are not installed. So if they really wanted to say that this is really a full, robust, complete replacement, then I think that this team, and if you're watching this team, a great thing you could do, push those packages through. Just install this with those fonts. It will make LibreOffice and sharing documents between Windows computers and Linux computers, it will make that a lot more a lot easier. So I also looked at Wine because I do have some experience in Wine, and I installed 2 different Windows programs on here. Both of them seem to have worked, except they can't seem to push the resolution on this. So I'm wondering if I back off the resolution, load it up onto a computer with a much smaller screen. I'm wondering if they're working. I just don't know. And I did not want to spend, many hours testing it. Just an observation that it says it's compatible with Windows apps, but it does use the same Wine. It does come with Wine and Play on Linux installed, however. So that is a good platform. You can see it does look pretty nice. Here's some of the video things that they're going through. So here's, once again, they're repeating everything in Core. You can download the 64-bit and the 32-bit downloads here. And then here they're talking about more items that are coming. There's a light, there's an educational, etc. So that is a little bit about the system. So what we're going to do now is just have a quick look at some of the setups. So you can have this basic Windowsy looking, and the reason I say it's like Windows, it's not really isn't Windows, is it is clearly Gnome. So if I come over to in this case, I come over to the lower right, you can see that one Gnome part that I really just kind of drives me crazy. It just seems like an afterthought that your whole internet and sound and power is in one button, one block, and you can't really control those individually. And so that for me is something that I look at and it's okay. We do have a menu here, which is a little bit different. This does sort of behave like the Windows 7 type menu. You can come over here, and the downside for me being so used to Linux Mint is I want to just be able to I want to be able to click on these over here and see that the programs change over in the second column. That's not what happens. I have to come down and hit the back button. As far as applications, there are a lot of applications on here. The only application other than the Windows things that I installed is I did install OBS, which is what I'm using to record this video. So you can see everything else. There are a lot of system tools, a lot of handy items, and the one that is a very nice system is the Zorin Appearance. So this is the one that will allow you to change around some things. So if I want to change to more traditional type Windows approach, the second one here will actually give me the, you can see how the items are now lined out in the blocks. And of course, there's the activities button there, or the Zorin menu here. So this first one here is what we did have it set at. So you'll see that this is more like what the Windows 10 platform sort of looks like, other than the whole system tray thing. Or we can actually go to a classic Gnome approach. So if you can see on the classic Gnome there that your icons go up to the top, your bar moves up to the top. We have our applications, we have our dock over here on the side. So here's your flow. So you can see here, if you've followed my videos and you see when I run Gnome in a VirtualBox, you can see how much smoother this runs. And this is because we're not running this in a VirtualBox. You can toggle, though, between the different style types. So that is one of a neat selling point. And it looks like, okay, there, good, we're back. So I looked over at my video, and my video was lagged. I hope it wasn't dying there. Okay, so here you can actually run your icons on the desktop just by clicking on these guys over here. And then we can put title bars left and right. We have window scaling. We have animations. We also have, again, this is not my favorite because of all the flatness to it, but we do have, just some very basic colorations. It kind of reminds me again of like Windows 10. We have very few options to pick from. We have a light and a dark of a color option with an accent color and white or black, either way. And then over here, there's some other themes. I have no idea what's going to happen if I test these. Let's see. I don't know. Okay, so this kind of brings us back to more of a traditional Gnome, which I'm not sure if I like that. Okay, there we go. Click on that. Go back to that. So icons here, you can change these, change the icons to different icon types. And I'm trying to remember which one it was. I'm wondering, it almost looks like once I have that set that I can't really go back. I'm wondering if that's what their intention is, because I know it was much flatter. It was actually closest to these. Let me see what high color looks like. Nope. It was kind of closest to these guys here. Although these were not the exact icons. I'm wondering if I could clear this or not. And then here's shell, which does not do anything. We can change our system fonts, of course. And what I did like here about the panel is I could change the opacity. So I do like this in the respect that I can change the opacity of the panel, which is a nice effect. And then we can show the application menu or not by toggling this button here. And I'm thinking that that's not going to show up in this particular format. So that's kind of the settings panel. Other than that, this is basically Gnome. So anything that you would envision from Gnome, you'd find here. We are using Geary email. I'm not sure why we went with that one, and they are using the Chromium web browser, probably to capitalize on Chrome being the more popular browser. I still would have liked to prefer Firefox, and over here either Thunderbird or Evolution. Although it's more commonly to find Thunderbird, especially on an Ubuntu-based distro. So that's about it as far as how the system works. It is a basic. You could almost think of this as Ubuntu GNOME Edition, except it's more themed out to resemble a lot more your Windows platform. And again, if you purchase the Ultimate Edition, it's €19, and you get a few more items. I would like it if they could tell me a little bit more about the items that I'm getting for that. Let's have a look at the desktop backgrounds. Some people are into those, including myself. What I'm going to do is I'm actually going to move my switcher over here, and that will allow you to see a little bit more of it. Give me just a second here. Let me create a new screen here so it does not have my picture on it. Okay, and I need a screen capture. Okay, there we are, and transition to that. Get rid of my picture there for a second. So right now I'm just going to come over here. I'm just going to show you the different backgrounds that come with it, just to give you an idea. So we do have a nice selection. Not an overwhelming amount of images come with this, but there are some very nice ones. Those that like the space themes, you have that planet one. You have the galaxy here. This is a very nice, abstract, colorful one. I almost kind of would like to put that on my KDE one. That's actually a gorgeous photo. Look at that. Landscapiness. I think that might be the Grand Canyon, or at least something like the Grand Canyon. Very nice. There's a nice ocean wave. I think that's a little too white for me, but there's the desert view for those that like the desert. So you can see that they did, keeping with the standard, there are a lot of really nice looking photos on here. And we'll go ahead and stick with this one until the end of the video. So that's kind of how you can run with that. Let me bring myself back here. And then over here, you can just go back, and here's what your settings panel is going to look like. A lot of the same things that you would expect from Gnome. Here's your privacy, so you can usage history, purge trash and temporary files. You can turn location services on or off. We do have a robust online account platform, so Google, OwnCloud, Facebook, Flickr, Microsoft, Pocket, Foursquare, Microsoft Exchange Media Server, or other options. And then, we can, your Zorin appearances over here. Your basic hardware is available, and we have our setups. We have our backup, our date, our time. I didn't check how easy it is to change my format. Oh, there you go, time format and AM, PM. So that's really easy to change the time format. All right. So that is pretty much in a nutshell the Zorin platform. I would say that if you are looking for a more of a modern UI type desktop, the Zorin might actually be a way to go. I mean, it is running Ubuntu, so there is all of the robustness of the Ubuntu platform behind it, and you can configure this out to look like the Windows or the Mac, or in this case, the free version. You can hook it up in this Windows type platform or the traditional Gnome type platform. If you want to pay the €19 for that, then they also will have the option for like the Mac view, and you can check out the website further to see what the pictures look like. The software is certainly good enough. There's not a lot of software that I thought was really lacking. Just looking at everything, we have Rhythmbox, a lot of system tools, software items, just all sorts of items there. And of course, here's your Wine, and it does come with Wine, and it comes with Play on Linux pre-installed and set up. So here's your settings table again. Pretty traditional system. It's a very nice Gnome platform. Actually, I think I'm going to keep this one around on this flash drive for a while. If I'm going to use Gnome, I think that this is the platform I'd like to use it in more than most others. So with that, this has been Tom, and I hope that you enjoy switching to Linux.